Hey everyone, it's Miss Gibbs. Today we are drawing our cakes inspired by Wayne Thiebaud. We're going to start with lightly sketching the shape of our cake. You notice I am not sketching lightly because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing, so your lines should be much lighter than mine are right now. We start by drawing an oval shape for the top of the cake, and then two parallel lines on the side. And then we're going to draw a curved line at the bottom and connect them to those parallel lines that we just drew. And that's going to form the basic shape of our cake. You notice that curve at the bottom matches that curve at the top. And you can go in and refine your sketch, step back, take a look at it and see, does this look even to me? And that's just what I'm doing here. I'm just going and making some adjustments until I decide that I'm happy with it. One thing you will notice that I'm doing is I am rotating my paper. I am turning it as I am sketching this out. That's something that makes it easier for me to draw. And that's something that you might want to try doing. And erase any excess lines that you are not using while you're refining. Now that we have the cake sketched out, we are going to sketch the plate that the cake is sitting on. So you see, I start by marking where I'm going to be drawing my plate, and then I'm just going to connect these lines. So I made two little marks on the side, and I made a little mark in the front of the cake so I can get a visual guide of where I'm going to be drawing these lines. And you notice, my lines are wonky. I'll go in and I'll erase and change them. And that's part of the process here. Next, we are going to choose the colors that we are going to be using for our cake. And I would like for you to choose 3 analogous colors. Those are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. You can also choose a monochromatic scheme of lighter and darker shades of one hue. But I thought it would be neat to do it this way with the neon pastels. But again, ask questions and we'll see how we can get your cake coming out the way that you like it. And here I am outlining the cake with my middle color that I chose, which is this medium pink. I'm doing the top of the cake, just coloring it in with the oil pastel, building up the color. Now we need to check where our light source is for us to get our shading right. I decided that my light source is coming from the top left, and that means that the other side of my cake is going to have a shadow. So I'm going to do some contour hatching with my middle color on the entire cake, just very lightly to give it a base color. And the contour hatching, that follows the shape of our line to give it form. That's what's going to help make it 3D. Those are the line types in this that are going to make it 3D. So I'm doing my darker color where the shadow would be. And then I'm doing my lighter color where the light source would be. And you see I'm going back and forth, going over things with my lighter color, darker color, middle color to blend it all in. That's how I'm getting that blended effect with these oil pastels. Notice I'm not blending it with my finger. I am blending the colors with the other colors together. And take a step back and look at it to see where you need to add some more color. Remember, always keep in mind where that light source is. Then I go back to the top of the cake. And remember, the light is shining. It's going to be shining on the top of the cake based on where my light source is. So I don't need to do any shading up there. But I will grab that darker color and I will go in and define more of that outline of the cake, where that shadow would be. Next, I am coloring the plate, and I'm also going to be following the light source here. So for the plate, I chose another analogous color scheme, and I'm using that middle color and following the same process that I did with the cake. So I'm coloring the entire plate with my middle color. Then I'm taking my darker color where my shadow would be, and I'm coloring that. I decided actually it wasn't dark enough, so I went in and added some more. Again, picking up that middle color to blend it in, and then using the lighter color on the side where my light source is. And then blending that in with the middle color and going back and forth. That's how you really get this effect, is by going back and forth with these colors. It's not like, oh, I used the middle color once, so I'm going to now switch to the light color and never pick up the middle color again. No, it's a process. Got to go back and forth with these colors. That's how we're going to get that form happening. That's going to make our cake 3D. And here I just decided that I wanted to give the edge of my cake plate just a little extra color here. So I'm following, again, that same process with analogous colors and working from, I did my middle, dark, light, and I go back and I blend with the different analogous colors. Now I step back and I look at my cake and I decide, okay, I have my basic colors down. Now I'm going to really fill it in. So I'm going over my cake again with the 3 analogous colors that I used for my cake. And I'm filling it in where I see the gaps of white. I'm really working those colors together. Again, I'm just defining my edge there, adding some more. I actually decided that I thought the shaded part needed to be even darker, so I went ahead and I grabbed the next color over in the color scheme, which would actually be the blue. Since I was already on purple, I decided to add a little bit of blue in there to make it a darker shadow on that side of the cake, which is something that you can do also. Experiment with that. And remember to keep going back in and checking where your light source is and blending those colors. For painting the background, I decided to use some tempera cakes. And remember, we have dirty water, clean water. Your brush always goes in the dirty water first. And I prefer to start out with my lightest color. So I was using yellow and I decided, okay, I'm going to start with the yellow. Then I'm just going to add some blue in, maybe make a pattern in there, pretend it's some wallpaper. Just do something that you like. This is your painting. So just paint your background how you like it. Dirty water, clean water. Every time we get more paint. That's how we're going to keep our colors nice and bright. Notice my clean water staying clean. That bottom we're not really going to see because we're going to be covering it with the counter, so that's why I didn't take my pattern all the way down. Now, when we draw our counter, we're going to draw it on the same paper that we drew our cake, but we will be cutting it out, so keep that in mind. You're going to design your counter how you want it. I chose to do a checkerboard pattern. You could do a pattern on yours. You can just come up with something that you think looks cool, and you're going to draw it out and then color it with marker. Next, we are going to cut out the cake, the stand, and the counter. So notice when I'm cutting the cake, I am not cutting it off of the plate. I am just cutting around the cake that's on the plate. I'm going to glue the counter to the background, just using a glue stick. For the stand, I just traced a ruler on a piece of scrap paper, but I also decided that I wanted to change the shape of my stand because I didn't like the way it looked against that pattern. So I just decided to draw myself a new one, cut it out, and yep, tested the size, I liked it. Now I am going to color that cake stand, and I'm going to match the plate and follow where my light source is. So my lighter color is going to be on the left. That's where my light source is. My shadow is going to be on the right, so I'm going to put my darker color there. And I'm going to use my middle color in the middle. And remember, I'm going to blend those oil pastels by mixing those colors, going over them. Then I'm going to glue my stand onto the counter. Then I'm going to glue my cake over my stand. And I'm done.